Let's go see what the guys are up to today.
Oh, hey guys, today we're going to be servicing an Aqua. This is a Patriot Thunder by Beaver motorhome, so this is an older motorhome. Let's get started and see how this goes. So this is an older stainless steel cased Aqua. Everything on the inside is still the same. This has a few more zones and a few more pumps inside it. So we'll get started getting this case off and go from there. So a lot of customers don't even end up putting this back on because these are such a pain in the butt to get off.
20 minutes later.
All right. So now we're going to start this over. So the key to doing this is taking the bottom out first. As soon as you take the bottom out, this piece will fall out significantly easier.
5 hours later.
All right, so you're gonna need a couple tools to initially get this going. You're gonna need a 10 mil socket with a pretty long extension. That's to reach your flange bolts way back here. You got one right here. We'll loosen that up, and then you got one hidden down here on the bottom. There we go. This one doesn't look too bad. There's not excessive soot buildup inside the chamber. Doesn't look too bad. The front of the nozzle's not horrible. So nothing looks really bad there, but we do got to figure out why we're getting all this corrosion across the top here, and it actually looks like moisture or something has sat down in this burner assembly. So for this one, we're going to take these fuel lines off next so we can get this completely out of the way. You have a return line and you have a supply line on your fuel. Use whatever type of hose clamp you think is necessary to clamp them off. The return, of course, isn't that important, but your supply is. That'll just keep leaking fluid. This ended up being a 18 millimeter wrench. Now we're gonna carefully set this burner assembly to the side. So we still got some diesel flowing out of here. Definitely the key is making sure you get a good clamp on these fuel lines. Some clamps seem to work better than others. We're gonna try a second clamp on here, see if that then stop it up. These little clamps are actually made by Lyle. And they're super awesome. They come in a little pack. And all you do is tighten this wing nut down and it clamps the line off. They're definitely pretty foolproof. Make sure you put them somewhere where you can actually see it. And then that way you don't forget about it when you're done. The customer's other complaint was this Aqua Hot was not working on electric. So we're going to take a look at the electric element back here in the back, see what's going on, and also see if we're getting possibly a leak or something from here. All right, so we got the burner assembly over here on the workbench. Our combustion chamber, we're going to get these cleaned up. You're going to need 2 tools to do, well, technically 3 tools, we'll say. You're going to need a 10 millimeter wrench to loosen the bolt here that keeps your sparking electrodes tight. So we can loosen that up. These will pivot and stuff. We can clean them. I'll show you how we do that in a second. And the second is a 16 millimeter, which is actually what takes the fuel nozzle off. The third, if you wanted to take it off, would be a Phillips head. This is your flame sense. This is quite an expensive sensor, so use caution around it. When you're cleaning all the rest of this up, don't get too rambunctious and do something to damage it. I've also been taking a wire brush and just cleaning up this corrosion that's down here. Not sure exactly what's causing it yet from what we've seen. So unfortunately we'll have to wait till we kind of get it hooked back up and ready to fire to see what's going on there. But again, we're just kind of going through and cleaning everything. So on these, I like to use either really a Scotch-Brite pad and every once in a while you might need a little piece of sandpaper. We also use little sand and sponges and a wire brush. For cleaners, if you've seen any other videos, I'm a fan of starter fluid. It cleans really well, breaks down the carbon, and it also dries out really fast. So I give everything a quick little soaking. Scrub it with the wire brush to get any of the kind of big debris. This one is not dirty, really hardly at all. So there's not a whole lot of work we're gonna have to do on this one. If you've seen any of our other videos, some of these come out extremely nasty, and they take quite a bit of work to get them looking clean again. And on cue, the phone always rings. So we're getting these electrodes cleaned off. You want them all nice and shiny. Hopefully the light's not driving you guys crazy. Having the metal piece here super clean and shiny is not important. That does not affect the wear and tear and use of this. I'll grab a couple of rags right here. All right, so we're getting this all cleaned up. Do all your cleaning while the old nozzle's still on there. That way you don't mess up your new nozzle. Just wipe everything down. Now we'll turn this, unscrew it. And there's what your nozzle looks like. Now we get our new nozzle. Tighten it down. All right, now the key thing with the Aqua Hot, we get our little spacer tool. All right, this is your electrode adjustment tool. Most Aqua Hots have it right here. If you're doing this yourself, you can just take it off the burner. Hopefully someone before you didn't take it off and not put it on. I think you can also order these from Aqua Hot. If you wanted one, we can sell them to you as well. So you adjust the electrodes out of the way, and this sits down on top of it. So once you get this seated where it needs to be, so this needs to be sitting flat on the nozzle. You can see that there's no space there.
Yeah.
And then you want both these nozzles, or the electrode points, to sit right in there. Now you can move them up and down if you have to. You might have to loosen your 10 mil bolt here just a little more to give you extra play. You don't want to get too crazy, because then they'll just bounce around like that, like they're doing right now, instead of sitting where they need to sit. Once you got them where you want them, this one doesn't quite want to sit in there. All right, tighten this 10 millimeter bolt back up. Pull your nozzle off. That's it for the burner assembly. We'll set that over here to the side. And now we'll move on to the combustion chamber. Again, this one's not horrible. Even down inside, it's not too dirty. So we'll hit this with a little starter fluid to kind of soak for a second. And then we'll get after this with the wire brush. Alright, so we got the exterior of the combustion chamber cleaned off. Now we're going to pull these screws out. So use caution when you do this, because this is cast aluminum and it will just break. You know, a big chunk missing, and then you're going to have to get a new one. So that's what the top of that looks like. Now we'll hit it with some more starter fluid.
So what's this piece do for the combustion chamber?
This is actually where the nozzle sits out. The air comes in through here, out these nozzles in a spiral fashion, which helps create a cleaner, hotter burning flame. This needs to be cleaned to keep your flame burning at the right consistency, the right temperature. If you get too much buildup in here, it could cause some kind of weird issue with your flame to where it burns too hot, which could damage the unit. We've had one of these. Show you a quick picture of what it looks like. Alright, so everybody's asking why you need to clean this. If you don't clean this and you get a bad burn, this can literally get so hot that it'll melt. Here's a prime example of that. This is one we replaced for a customer where the combustion chamber area got so hot the aluminum started melting. So that's why it's important to clean this and get it basically looking brand new every time you do your maintenance. This is clean as we're going to get this one. If you're super OCD, just don't look, because you could spend days trying to get this thing perfect. As soon as you fire it up, it's going to get covered back and charred again. So that's clean enough. You do want to make sure the air inlets are nice and clean, that you don't have any buildup there. And then the rest of the chamber, just wipe it down real quick. Make sure you don't have anything. This is stainless steel, so you don't have to get crazy with it. And now we'll put it back together.
That's a good shot there.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed yours. Oh shit.
You gotta work on your finger posture when filming you using the screwdriver.
Alright, now I'll do you a quick little show of what this looks like when it's in there. So when it's bolted to the combustion chamber, This actually sits right inside this groove. You can see that's built into the burner. And then this is where your two things lock on. And you can look down in the tube. You'll see how the nozzle sits in there. And then you've got your fire, and then all your heat's coming off of this, heating up the rest. Alright, so this is all we got to do on this for right now. Now we're going to go scrub out the actual combustion chamber in the boiler tank area. And get that set. So we'll carry this stuff back over. Make sure you set your burner assembly somewhere safe. You're looking about $3,000 for that whole assembly, so it's not something you just want to be throwing around. You also don't want to hit your electrodes and get them knocked out of alignment. All right, so now we're going to clean the actual internal combustion chamber out. What we're going to do is hit it with a wire brush first, and then if you have the capabilities, the best thing to do is we use air. And then the other key thing here is going to be sticking a vacuum over the exhaust pipe. And what we do is turn the vacuum on right before we start blowing everything out. And you'll see all the loose soot and stuff will just get sucked right in. If you don't use the vacuum, you're going to get this giant ball of black dust. And you're going to look like a chimney sweep from Mary Poppins. So the vacuum is kind of a key tool. Don't use air. If you don't have air, you can just take the vacuum and stick it in here and vacuum out everything that you've loosened up. You may notice if you're questioning and you're saying, hey, mine doesn't have these fins in it. Newer Aqua Hots do not have the fins. Also, the newer Aqua Hots on certain units do not have most of the ones without fins don't have the extended tube on the combustion chamber. They just have this piece. So if you go to pull yours out and you've watched this video and you're ready to do your own service and you pull this out and don't see the rest of this tube, don't freak out. It's the way it's supposed to be. Just they changed, I'm not sure what year, but certain models do not have this tube and they don't have the fins. On those, they're a little bit easier to clean. This one takes a little more work to make sure you get all the fins and in between the fins cleaned off. So now we're going to blow it out. It's going to be loud, so the audio will be horrible. Brad's going to turn the vacuum on. Then I'm going to hit it with the air, and you'll kind of see everything get sucked down the hole. This is doing two things: clean out the combustion chamber, getting all the debris out, and if you've got enough air pressure behind it, it's also getting any loose debris out of the exhaust. That's another thing the Aqua Hot, once done during the annual maintenance, is the exhaust clean. You can do it with this, and you can also, if you can find a brush that's soft but stiff enough to go down your exhaust pipe, you want to run it up and down a few times and get any loose soot out of there. It could cause back pressure on the motor to the burner assembly and give you issues. So here we go. That's it for cleaning out the combustion chamber. Now we're going to go ahead and start putting stuff back together and test it and see what we got going on. Alright, again, extremely important, extremely key here. When you place this back in, you've got to get this assembly right in the center. If you don't, you're going to knock your electrodes out of whack, and then it's not going to fit in there like it's supposed to, or it'll misfire because they're not where they're supposed to be. This just like that. Top and bottom bolts back on. We grab our 10mm socket, start kind of tightening this up. All right, so quick note that we should have talked about in the beginning, but any of you that have done stuff like this before would have picked up on. You want to make sure you know which one of these is your inlet and which one your outlet. I want to say the inlet is on the right side. Make sure you mark it. That's actually what this zip tie is for on this one, is your inlet. So whatever you need to do to mark yours, if you've got the newer style that's the hard lines, you really don't have to mark them. They really won't go back anywhere but where they went. Unless you bent them or did something crazy, they're gonna want to sit right back where they came from. So it's not that important. That's only really important on these older ones where you've got the flexible hoses and you got to make sure that you're putting them back in the right spot. Now we got the fuel lines connected. We'll reconnect all our other sensors here. Make sure you take your clamps off your fuel line. The next phase in the maintenance is also going to be to replace the fuel filter. We've got to locate this one. I believe is up a few compartments by the fuel tank. So we'll try to get a video of that, but that is the next step in this, is to replace the fuel filter. When you replace the fuel filter, always make sure you fill it back up. So you're going to need to have a small little container of diesel fuel to fill it up. You don't want to introduce that much air into this system. It does purge itself because it has a return line and everything, but you're just going to be safer and better off if you go ahead and fill the filter up all the way before you do it. So we're going to get ready to test fire the burner, make sure it's working. You also want to check the level in your tank. This is an older model. It actually has a radiator cap. It's a 13 psi radiator cap. The next step after you check, if you can check the level in the actual tank, go ahead and do that. The next one will be to check the reservoir, and we'll see what the reservoir level looks like, and then go from there right before we test fire it. All right, so on this particular one, the fuel filter is in a completely separate compartment, and so is the reservoir. On most of the other ones, they're not. They're in the same compartment. So this is again a little bit unique setup here. So here's our reservoir. This is a larger, I want to say it's a 9-quart reservoir. You can see the level is plenty good. You want to be definitely above cold, but not too hot, because if you're at the hot when it's cold, then it'll overflow. Now our fuel filter is right there. That's a Raycor spin-off. So we will pinch the line off again, get a new filter, fill it up, get that swapped out, and then we'll get this thing fired up. Good. All right, so we finished up the service. We finished that. Customer had another concern that the electric element wasn't working. So this video was purely the maintenance. We didn't get into the repair or video that. We ended up having to replace the float switch. We also resealed the thermostat, and then we replaced the heating element in this, which requires you to drain the system. Maybe another video will do that. It's getting ready to finish its cool down cycle here at the end, and we've checked for leaks and all that good stuff. We're going to finish up and it'll be good. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe, and we're going to do lots more stuff like this and have lots more videos in the future. Thanks for watching.